Right, good morning everyone. How you doing? Welcome to Cheeky Chappy London Tours. Today I'm taking you around the oldest part of London on a historical London pub tour. There's some beautiful pubs in here and you're going to learn why they're so important to Londoners. So this is the original Temple Bar of London, built in the mid-1600s. It's separating the City of London to the City of Westminster. So we're on our way to the first pub. And look at that. St Paul's Cathedral, absolutely stunning. Now look at this beauty. Visually, one of my most favourite pubs in the whole of London. Absolutely stunning. So it's called the Cockpit Pub. It's built in 1825. As a pub. It's named the Cockpit because simply that's what it was. They used to have cockfighting. And as you go in that door to the left hand side there, is the actual pit, still there, where the male chickens fought to their death. And there's a nice gallery up on the top where the well-to-do people would sit there and not get blood and feathers on their nice suits. So inside it hasn't been decorated since the 1960s. So it's not a themed pub, it's an old school, beautiful, feeling, atmospheric, warm pub. It was originally a gatehouse to a monastery that once sat here in medieval times. And if you're unfamiliar with London, it's really always good to look up. When you look up, you see these blue plaques about. This one in particular, on the 10th of March 1633, William Shakespeare purchased lodgings in the Blackfriars Gatehouse located near this site. So William Shakespeare supposedly lived on the flat above. Now we're at the other end, the monastery site, and it's the Blackfriars pub. You see the friar up there sitting proud? Basically, it's a Blackfriars area in London. It's called Blackfriars because the monastery site is a friary site, and the friaries wore black, and that's why it's called Blackfriars. And this pub was built in 1875, but again, an original gatehouse to the monastery. That's beautiful, isn't it? So I've got the River Thames behind me. Pub number 2, the Blackfriars. So we're going to walk along north. So this is Newbridge Street. So underneath us, we're walking on one of London's lost rivers. Now London has 12 lost rivers, and this one is the River Fleet, and it still runs today underneath. It starts from Hampstead Ponds and Hampstead Heath, 2 feet, and it goes into 1. And they rerouted it because as things progress, like London done, the meat market proper picked up its trade from around the world. It started polluting and everyone started getting really, really sick. And River Fleet was on that course. So they rerouted it and it is sewage now. And unfortunately, it runs straight into the Thames. So Fleet Street was originally called Fleet Bridge Street because the river. And the Great Fire of London, the fire actually jumped this river and spread across. And we're going to visit a few of them sites in a little while. But we are now just coming up to Fleet Street where the real history begins. Okay, so we've arrived in Fleet Street, literally St Paul's, which is behind me. Okay, so it's not far at all. Fleet Street houses some of the oldest pubs in London, and they still sit there today, and they are fantastic. Brief history: Fleet Street is known as the Street of Shame. This is where the British press lived from the 1600s up until 1980. Every single newspaper, magazine was down Fleet Street. But more importantly, going back, this was one of the Romans' busiest thoroughfares. So it went from St Paul's all the way down to Fleet Street. And basically, it's one straight line. St Paul's, Fleet Street goes straight down the Strand, straight onto the Mall to Buckingham Palace. We know the Romans like building straight roads. This was St Paul's, straight to Buckingham Palace. Simple. It's one of the busiest thoroughfares in London's history. We're doing pubs, aren't we? So there's one right there. This is one of the original London gin palaces, the Punch Tavern. Look at the entrance, it's stunning. So they named the Punch Tavern after the magazine or the newspaper. every teacher that I had at school read the Punch magazine. I don't know if you're aware of it, but it was so popular down here. All the stories got written in this very pub. It used to be called the Crown and Sugarloaf, but they changed the name to Punch Tavern just to keep their workers happy and kept it going. It's stunning. A right fine example of Victorian tiling. Look at this. So it's 12:05 and the pub is already busy. That's what we love, innit, eh? London comes alive. Right, a couple of doors away. This little beauty. This is the Old Bell. Tell you what, I'll take you around the back. Now this pub was built by Sir Christopher Wren. Guess what? For his workers. And that's a boss you want to have, innit, eh? Your boss builds you a pub. He sounds like a top bloke to me. So his workers were the masons that were building this church, St Bride's Church. Look at that. Supposedly that started the trend for the tiered wedding cake. And but this is the back of the pub, the Old Bell pub. This was built by Sir Christopher Wren, and do you know what? It hasn't changed much in there at all. Again, the tiling. See if we can get you in there. See? It's a nice dark Christmas. Look at that, look. Beautiful pub. So you're at St Bride's Church. Look at that. Absolutely beautiful. Now supposedly the stones in the floor in the basement are over 1,000 years old. Supposedly. Don't quote me on that. So the top tiers is a baker come past once who was getting married. He wanted to give his wife-to-be a special present. Didn't know what to get her. And he seed his church and made her a cake based on the top of that. That's where the tiered wedding cake comes from. Lovely. Right, we're going over here, just on the right, to probably one of the oldest pubs in London. This is Ye Old Cheshire Cheese, one of the oldest historical pubs in the whole of London. Winston Churchill drank in here. Charles Dickens favoured the chair to the right by the fireplace. William Shakespeare also drank in here, but William Shakespeare, Charles Dickens, I think, drank all over London. This pub's over 5 floors, and it goes 2 basements down. There's beams in that ceiling, which date back to the 13th century White Friars Monastery. Rebuilt in 1667. Right, it's still not open yet. It's dark wood, it's cosy, it's open fireplaces, it is beautiful. It is touristy. Listen, if you've never been to London before, you've got to come and see this pub. It's beautiful. There's the remains of Polly the parrot. The parrot was given to the landlord and landlady by a sailor, but known for shouting obscenities at his customers. And when it died, it was in 220 newspapers worldwide, this parrot. That's how famous it was. Right, you can actually go down to the basements. They are open. You can go down there and have a drink. And that is 13th century London, right there. Right, we're taking just a quick detour, because Dr. Johnson's house is just around the corner. So Dr. Johnson was the man who was responsible for the English dictionary. There we go, literally a stone's throw from the old Cheshire Cheese pub. Dr. Samuel Johnson's house, who invented the English dictionary. He lived here from 1709 to 1784. And there is a little museum that's open certain times. This was the greatest quote he ever said. When a man is tired of London, he is tired of life. I'll make him right there. We're outside number 184 Fleet Street. Don't see the number there. This was the home to the fictional Sweeney Todd. If we take a look over to the left, there's a charming little boozer. Look at that. The old Cock Tavern. Isn't that lovely? It's the most narrowest pub front in London. Now, if any of you are familiar with Samuel Pepys and his diary accounts, in one of his diary intakes from between 1660 and 1672, he said he arrived at this pub by boat and partook in lobster and owl. That's how long it's been there. But it wasn't over there, it was over this side originally. And they moved it, I think in the 1800s, they moved it across when London started rising up and getting bigger and grander. They removed the pub, but they still kept it. Another beautiful bit of history there. That's a little gate to the Temple Church on Fleet Street. So if you're ever down Fleet Street, it's well worth popping in to the old Bank of England. Now, it's a McMullen pub, right, which is basically really lovely on the eye, but the decor in this pub is amazing. It's not a historical pub. The actual building itself is one of the first branches of the old Bank of England. And they converted it into a pub. They spent millions on it. They've got the original vaults down the bottom in the cellar, which they housed once gold bullion and the crown jewels. If you go upstairs to the men's toilets, there's even safes still in the wall from the old bank. It's absolutely stunning inside. And outside, they've got a double-decker bus, which poses as a gym bar. It's absolutely stunning, well worth a visit. Right. So here we are, the Royal Courts of Justice, right next to the old Bank of England. We're now in a Strand, it's in the city of Westminster. This is how we do buildings, isn't it? Hey, look at the architecture on that. There's the clock tower. This will be seen on many newsreels and many films. This place is stunning. Now, bang in the middle of it, one of the dragons above there. So, on this side, we're in the City of London. On that side, the City of Westminster. This is the meeting point. It says up there, the Strand, just behind. Strand. And this is Fleet Street. And the Strand is just there. So earlier on, at St Paul's, the original Temple Bar, this is where it was located. As I said, as London got busier, it was causing so much congestion, they moved it. So you see the dragons sitting proud at the top. They are surrounded all around the City of London. You'll see them all on the outskirts of this City of London, nowhere else. It's protected by the dragons, and the City of London have even got their own police force. So at the back, the Royal Courts of Justice, obviously red telephone boxes, we love them. Building's still beautiful. It's one of the oldest surviving pub fronts from the Great Fire of London. The Seven Stars. So even to this day, they get the journalists in there, the barristers, the judges, all congregate in the pub. Because listen, English pubs are not just about going in and getting drunk. They're an important part of the heritage of Great Britain. They were meeting points, they were stables, they were inns. This is stunning. And next door is the famous Wig Box, which is now part of the pub. It's only small in here, but the atmosphere is magical, people. A cold winter's afternoon or a summer's evening, it's the perfect spot. I'm actually at Lincoln's Inn, which is beautiful and historical. It used to belong to the Blackfriars initially, back in the Dark Ages. And then I don't know how it came into the hands of the Law Society. Beautiful place in here. So Lincoln's Inn is 4 inns in London. There's, I think, Inner Temple, Outer Temple, Gray's Inn and Lincoln's Inn. And this is the grandest by far. I think if you're a barrister or a judge or something of that profession, you have to belong to one of the inns. And there's residents here, there's shops, you've got the Great Hall, the fantastic library, it's stunning. And apparently, back in the 70s or 60s, my mum played netball here, which I never knew. If you get a chance to do a tour around Lincoln Inn Fields, come and have a go, it's beautiful. There's the Great Hall, I'll turn you around in a minute. Look at that. Stunning. Let's have a little stroll around. So if you're in London, just come and walk. Come walk and look up. Surprised what you see. Look at that. There's the Great Hall. And a tiny little original gatehouse or toll booth of some sort. Look at that, look, still sitting there today. Beautiful. So next to the old hall, this is the old chapel. Built in the early 1600s. Excuse me, and in this Undercroft area, there's flat gravestones. And women weren't allowed to be buried here up until the 1800s. A bit of a sad reason. One of the, I don't know who it was, connected to Lincoln's Inn, but his daughter passed. And he changed the law so his daughter could be buried here. So the grave's under here. And in this Undercroft, a lot of unwanted babies were left here in their baskets and blankets because they knew if they couldn't take care of them, they'd be left here and they'd be cared for by the Lincoln's Inn. And a lot of names today, the surname Lincoln, can be traced back for that reason. Straight back to here. There's that. There's some of the gravestones. I'm going to cut across Lincoln's Inn Fields, right opposite. Right, we're now coming out of Lincoln's Inn Fields, which for hundreds of years was farmland. As we know, London is basically woodland and grass until it started getting built up. And this remained one of the City of London's biggest plots of greenery. It was farmland and also an execution site. Back in the day, old London loved execution, didn't they? And in particular, the Henry VIII. This next pub we're going to is right there, right in front of me. Had a major factor in all the executions that happened over the fields, and they'd have hundreds of people turn up to watch the execution. This next pub, we're now in Holborn, by the way. So we're in the City of London, Holborn. But there's historical artefacts and proof that this was once a riverside pub. So as I said earlier, there's 12 lost rivers in London. One of the River Fleet that ran up this way had arms branching off, and also the Thames didn't cut the same course as it does now. So what river ran up there, I do not know. But this pub, and this area in particular, was a shady part of London with gambling dens, smugglers, and lots of backstreet alleyways goings on. And this pub in particular, look, it's just stuck in the corner. Let me turn it around for you. There's also, when Henry VIII abolished the Catholicism, it made it illegal, you could not practice the Catholic religion. If you got caught, you'd be put to death, you'd be hung. It was a bugger, wasn't he, Henry VIII? So this pub doubled up as a Catholic church. So they performed their services behind the bar, and all the Congress would stand out with a drink in a hand. And if they got heard of that the King's men were coming up on their horses, literally they would just turn around and talk to each other with a drink in hand as if it was a normal pub. And they had all the hiding cubby holes and little nooks and crannies behind walls in the cellars for the priest to dive into and didn't get caught. So actually touching on Holborn now, which back in the day was a huge gambling area. And lots of dodgy deals. But look at these little alleyways. Look, these Look at that, little alleyways. What a beautiful looking, inviting pub, innit? I know what pubs are about food, but there's a banging roast dinner in here. We're going to have a little walk round to the last pub on this tour. One of the original gin palaces of London. It's absolutely stunning. If you ever get to pop in this pub, it's in Holborn. And gentlemen, if you need a toilet, go down to the Lavs. I'm telling you, they're the original Victorian toilets. They've got to be seen. Obviously, I ain't going down there with a camera. That won't be no good. So you've got to see it for yourself, all right? So we're now outside the Princess Louise. Now this is a stunning pub inside. I think Princess Louise, I think she was Queen Victoria's daughter. I think her fourth child or sixth, her fourth child, I think. Anyway, she's Queen Victoria's daughter. Inside, it is unbelievable. It hasn't changed one bit. Yes, it's got the all the separate partitions. You can have your own little booth, the marble cutting, the cut glass. It is beautiful in there. It's stunning. Well, it's a Sam Smith pub. So Sam Smith, they're a brewery. You're not allowed your phones, you're not allowed to swear, and they don't have TVs in there. You can't swear. I don't know if I'll get in there. As I say, if you get a chance, go in and have a look. It is beautiful. Well, you lot, thanks for joining me on my pub tour on Fleet Street. Listen, there's so much to see. Sometimes you've got to walk around and just look up once in a while. So I'm off now to Soho, probably the best pub crawl in the whole of the UK. So stay tuned for that one, right? You lot, love yourself, be kind to others, and I'll see you on the next one.